All right, great. So right now I'm actually with my daughter. She's applying for the passport for the UK trip, for a UK trip. This is Mike. This is my daughter, Sharon.
Hey Sharon, how you doing?
All right. All right, she can hear you. All right.
How
So
old is she?
yeah, she's 11. She's about 11 years old. Okay.
Oh,
So yeah, hold on a sec. Okay. All right. So yeah, so basically, yeah, she's a big fan of the British royal family
okay.
and also of UK culture. And yeah, having watched, Mary Poppins and all these film,
My fair lady.
My Fair Lady. Yes. And so yeah, I think our family really does have a British connection. And also my good buddy Mike.
Yeah.
So all right, so yeah, so maybe you'd like to share some wins on your part first.
I've got nothing significant to say. So I'm just
You're being humble. I'm sure there are some things.
no. Honestly, I'm not being humble. That's far from it. No, I don't have anything. I don't have any wins to share with you about Friday.
Okay.
I've just had a
So
very slumbering weekend.
oh, okay, all right, okay. So I guess anything you'd like to share though? I mean any
Um,
or
no,
any learning, I guess.
I don't know. No, not really.
Okay, all right, all right.
I'll
Then
tell you
maybe
what.
yeah.
I've got one
Okay,
thing. I wrote
okay,
this
all
down.
right. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So everything compounds. Problems, issues, money, strengths, weaknesses, weight gain, weight loss.
Okay, right.
All of it compounds. If something happens and you do nothing about it, then it only gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Or if it's a positive thing, bigger, better, better. So everything compounds. And I think which is a good and a bad thing, right? So if you take no action on the issues that you're dealing and facing with, then it compounds. If you make a positive action and you keep making that positive action, then eventually you'll have big steps. But I think the challenge then is that when you're in the middle of whatever it is you're in the middle of, you don't necessarily notice that the small steps you're taking are compounding up to a bigger event.
Okay. Very true. Very true. Yes, very true.
That's both ways, right? If you're not dealing with an issue, then it's going to compound up to a bigger event. And that's probably why I'm in such a negative mood at the moment, because I've allowed things to compound up in a negative way because I wasn't dealing with them. And so I'm just coming to terms with that, really. But again, it's like, all right, fine, just deal with it, get over it, get on with it, and stop being a moany old podger. I did make some headway on that document. I think I know where I want it to go now. For the El Salvador, I'm looking over there because I've written it all up on the board. So that's that. Also need to talk to you about your trip to the UK.
Okay,
So
sure. All right, we'll do that. All right, so Mike, can you give me just 1 minute? I'll hand off some stuff, okay? And because we're at the place now, and I'll just hand some stuff to my mom, and so she can take care. We can chat. Just hold on a sec, okay?
You put your camera on and I can't hear you.
Okay, all right. So all right, Mike. Okay, I think I'm ready. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah. All right. So maybe I'll share some wins on my side then. Okay. First, the haircut.
I was going to say, I've noticed it.
Yeah,
You and your
okay.
son have had your
It's,
annual haircut.
Yeah, did this with my my daughter. Yeah, together. Okay. 然后 hold on. And the other thing, I think it's something I actually I'd say I've been realizing that I want to get in touch with some of the mentor kind of mind state. Okay, so one person is all right. Apologies. Okay. Uh-huh. All right. So the yeah, my mother would like me to be seated. Okay. All right. That's it. She's gone now. All right. So well,
She doesn't like the
thing
fact you're multitasking, Shunyun.
Yes, that's true. Well, the one of the things is okay, so I've been reading Ray Dalio's stuff, okay, and I realized that what Ray Dalio has gone through, okay, and actually I think both his not just his what he's doing is actually quite similar to what we're doing or what we're doing similar to what he's been doing, but also you know I sort of, I mean, I recognize that he could be like a role model, or at least for me to really to learn from. So I restarted to going through the principles. Okay, the book, his principles, just recently, and just doing some regular learning sessions. And I think there's, I don't know if you've read that book, but
It's on the shelf. I'm halfway through it.
okay. Oh, okay. Good. That's good. But the thing is, okay, I'm starting to see, he had some real lessons that he's gone through in his life that is directly relevant to us, or at least to me. Okay. For example, that because he was focused and what was having he had some approaches in terms of how he's looking at the world economy stuff, so he was having some success early on in his career, but then you probably know that he made this mistake of betting against the US economy, thinking that it's going to have some kind of big inflation and crash, which did not happen. And he was basically shorting or predicting shorting it, but didn't happen. So he lost massively and also felt pretty badly. Company went from several employees to just himself, even had to borrow from his father for $4,000 just to make ends meet at one point. But what he learned from this experience is, I think, something really valuable, which is instead of asking or thinking that, I think I'm right, he started to ask the question, how do I know I'm right? Okay. And this has become sort of the cornerstone thinking. So I think in what he does and in investment, in finance in general, there's always going to be some unforeseen event, like it's going to be different this time. And if you don't have that kind of humility, humbleness, and also being prepared for the unexpected, then a single event could swipe out you really badly. Okay. So I think he has since taken an approach of really never, like betting like hugely on anything, and always take incremental small steps and make adjustment, diversify, and also be really humble. No matter how successful he has been so far up to the point, there's always the chance of failing to notice or failing to do something, right? So he has the co-CEO, the co-CIO design. And by doing so, he has probably gotten his chance, a lot better. So I think for me, I think it's kind of became very clear that Ray has already gone the path, in front of us. So if we can learn from him, right now maybe through his books, but maybe in the future directly from the man, this is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, he would be an interesting person to talk to, actually.
Exactly. And also, I think I have found his approach. You know how he got their first assets under management? Because Bridgewater was actually only a consultancy firm before they started to manage clients' money. And their first asset actually was a very simple management, switching between, I think it was, between US dollar and some, I'm not sure it's gold or something, but it was a very simple, like two asset kind of switchover. And very similar to how JCF currently operate. Indicator up, we go in, indicator out, we go out. And that was his first successful entry of having an AUM on their own, on clients' behalf, and sort of like the current Bridgewater sort of started from there. Now they are, managing hundreds of billions of assets, but that was kind of their humble beginning. So yeah, just fascinating reading about. So that's one win. The other win I would say is, well, if you're in the WhatsApp group, you probably have noticed the what's called Create Startup course is started officially today. Okay, so that's the that's the accelerator part.
Right now, people are signed up to that.
Well, probably now, besides myself, I think we will also be going through that from two more other teams. Okay, so one guy, Connor, and the other is the Alex, going through the barter thing. There could be another one, Victory. I'm not confirmed yet, that he's the South African student I've been coaching, mentoring. And actually a couple of people from my current JPU team has also entered the group. I'm not sure if they will sign up, but they are my teammates in the JPU course. And I think we've been collaborating quite well. Okay, so I guess at this stage we'll see. Okay, and but hopefully there will be others who basically we're planning to do some advertisement as well to tailor to entrepreneurs of similar profiles. Okay, so at least there will be a few teams that's going through this. Yeah, so reason why that's significant is that, again, while this is a small seed to be planted, but we do have really high, long-term goal. Again, 20 years down the road with 1,000 social unicorns being incubated. Okay, and this is starting. Yeah, so yeah, so the seed has been planted, and yeah, and I just feel that the momentum so far has been good. There has been weekly progress in this front. And also, again, the fundraising part, well, that's something I like to see JCF Wealth to be supporting. So again, use case, clients, customers. All right, so enough for my wins, and I don't know, any feedbacks or comments so far?
I don't know. In the mood I'm in at the moment, it's difficult to be objective. I'm seeing everything with a tainted view of things. I'm not.
Okay. All right.
That you know. That said, I can. When you talk about wealth and you talk about how the accelerator ties into wealth, I understand the logic.
Conceptually, right? Conceptually.
Yeah. And I get it. I guess the thing is, it's just at the moment I'm just sitting there worrying about the practicalities of things. I'm in a very, very pragmatic state. So, is there money in the bank? When's the next check coming in? What's going out? Are they balancing? And the reason I'm having to be like that is because it's not accumulating. So I'm suffering quite a lot at the moment because I'm in a period where everything is going out the door and not enough is coming back in. So it's kind of like having a wound. All the blood is going out and I'm not producing enough to compensate. So if you say to me, well, funding, wealth, incubators, that's what wealth's going to be doing. Great. How? And everything has to be pragmatic in that, fine. What are we doing to? So if you say to somebody, this accelerator is going to, pay this much, get the training, and then at the end of the training, if you want to go ahead, then there'll be a platform for growth for your business. That's a promise.
Right.
That's a
exactly.
promise to a customer.
Yes. Right.
And so the thing is, if you're promising that to somebody, you've got to have a mechanism to actually deliver on the promise, and you have to know that you can before you do it. I'm not saying this is the case with the accelerator, but I was really shocked once when I was working for this. And one of the reasons why I started my own business, is because the company I was working for at the time, they had been telling us, we have this product. I won't go into the details of the products, but we have this product and it's better than anything else on the market, and it does this, and this. And they called this product LAN Connect. And it was essentially a bit like an MPLS service, but it wasn't, right? So we went out there, and the sales guys, because I was head of sales, we went out there and we pushed and we sold and we were getting some successes. And then I got called into the MD's office with his, with the technical director. And the technical director goes, so great news, we've just signed a contract with BT and now we can deliver on ABC. And I went, what do you mean now we can deliver on ABC? And he went, well, we haven't been able to do it yet, but we can now. I went, but we've just spent 2-3 years talking about how we're delivering on ABC. Why? What do you mean you can't do that? He goes, oh yeah, that was all marketing bullshit. And I just thought, I'm standing here telling people, promising them that we can deliver, and you don't have the technology to support, you don't have the infrastructure to support the promises that you're making me to give. And I looked at the MD and he looked at me like, what are you, stupid? And I thought, they both know that they don't have a product. And when I left, right, and about six months after I left, another product that was effectively, it was basically, it was a dongle that you plugged into the internet, and and then it would connect you into the customer's network. It was kind of like creating a VPN, but all automated. And they didn't pay any of the licenses for these dongles. So they were selling these dongles without any licenses. And then the customer had an issue. They had a network failure. So they went, it's okay, we've got these dongles. None of them worked. So, I mean, I just find it, so I'm not saying you don't have it there, but my mind automatically goes to, especially now, right? Because I'm kind of in a panic state. My mind goes to, great, if that's what we're promising, if we're promising that wealth is going to deliver, how is wealth going to deliver that? Because at the moment, we haven't been able to fund ourselves, let alone somebody else. And I think that needs to be addressed. But forgive me if I'm being a bit solemn.
No. I think it's actually I guess just a quick feedback. Would that be all right? Okay.
Please do, yeah. I'm quite
I
happy to hear the
believe
feedback all the
in
time.
both Dan Sullivan and also some other framework I've learned that it's actually important for all the different types of people to be on the same team. Okay, the optimist, the pessimist, the idealist, the realist. Okay.
Okay,
But,
which one am I?
but the important thing is we all can work together, and also at different stages of the process of execution. Okay, so for example, like I think it was something like I forgot whether it was Dan or I think maybe Dan. Okay, yes, maybe it's Dan. You first have the idealist, the visionary, to think of, what's the great future, what we're supposed to do, and draw the vision, the big picture thing. But then the next stage is actually to ask the realist to get involved, to like spot all the problems, okay, and then feedback all the issues, all the obstacles that this is going to entail, okay. And that requires a different kind of perspective, mindset, and approach to thinking, right? Than the visionary, the idealist, the naked up person, okay? But then, also you cannot just stay with all the realist or pessimist kind of thinking. Then you have to make the list of the problems and then send it to the third type of people who are the problem solvers, okay, the make it real people, okay, and basically ask them and task them with the task of actually solving the problems that has been identified, has been spot on, right, and to create solutions for that, okay, and address them, right, so that the vision or whatever can be realized, okay. And obviously at some point you probably will want to if that's done, you want to circle back and then make some review and see what's the gain, what's the learning, and then restart the iteration, restart the cycle again, okay, from the vision to the obstacle to the transformation to the action. I think that's the VOTA process, the VOTA, the VOTA process. But the important thing is at each stage, actually, you want to have a different kind of perspective, right? Like it's not the same type of thinking to define the vision versus to identify the obstacles. Okay, and sometimes it's different scales, and a lot of times it resides on different kind of people. And problems with teams that are breaking up is that the idealists and the realists, they fight. They fight and argue about who is correct. Okay, but you see, but the point isn't about who is correct. The point is about they are simply looking at the same thing from different perspectives.
True. I
right?
agree.
But the real gem is when the different perspectives can be combined, right, and can collaborate. Then you have real power because you have the vision to go forward. You have the obstacles that can be identified, right? The pessimist or the realist. And then you have the problem solver who can transform and the action takers who can execute, right? And that becomes a virtuous as opposed to a vicious cycle. And that's where you make progress, right? You make things happen. So yeah, I guess my feedback is don't be okay. I think don't apologize. No need for that. I fully appreciate, and I like to think that I understand what you're talking about in terms of over promising. which
Oh,
I think.
and I don't know what you've promised, so I don't.
Okay,
But
okay,
said to
okay.
me, I'm
Right.
sitting there thinking that would be my. Okay, well, how are we going to do that?
Right. So
And I know that's not
right,
who,
right,
not how thinking.
right,
But
right,
even if the how we're going to do that is who are we going to use,
right,
then
exactly.
then
Right.
then again it's an answer, isn't it? And so say, well, we identify the type of person is this. Well, that's fine. So we have to go out and find this type of person. And as far as being a pessimist or a realist, it's ironic because I would call myself an optimist.
Right.
At 9 times out of 10, I'm optimistic. Now, I think I'm only being kind of negative at the moment because I'm having to deal with negative things, which comes back to my original statement, my original comment about if you don't look after things, then they compound up.
Right.
And so if I'm learning anything, it's to sit there and say what I think about what I believe to be an issue.
Right.
Because if I start saying this is an issue now when it's this big, I don't have to deal with it when it's this big. You know what I mean?
Right. Very true. Yes, agree.
And so
agree.
It's easier to deal with it when it's down here than when it's up here, but it might be more painful to deal with here because you're so early on and it's like a seedling of an idea.
Right.
Well, then,
Right.
do you know what I mean? You don't want to be too.
Okay.
There's a balance there, right? About getting getting the vision that's going to grow into a beautiful oak tree
Right.
from a little acorn, and not pounding on it until it's nothing. Do you know what I mean? So I think.
Right.
But anyway, okay, fine.
Okay. Great. All right. Okay. So,
But
look,
Shunyun, I do love working with you, and I do enjoy doing what we do.
Okay.
And I just
Thanks.
and I think there's a lot of value in what we're doing. I just find it sometimes. I think what's happening in my other part of my life is bleeding into this one a little bit too much. But anyway,
no worries. All right. So I guess just let's before we move on, I think just a final comment. Asking the question, what's the truth and what's the good?
Yeah.
Okay, there's always something truthful and goodful. I mean, good in whatever we're facing or encountering.
Yeah.
Hope that's helpful. All right. So yeah, let's start. What are some of the things you like to discuss?
Well, I just wanted to show you this, right? So that's
okay.
That's how far I've got.
Okay. Right.
So anything with a red mark on it, that's completed. So basically I'm down to this bit over here.
Okay.
And all of this is joining all of that with all of this.
Okay.
So I think once I've done all of that, and I truthfully, I think that might take me 2 hours of focused time.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna, and then I'll hand it back out.
Okay.
And then it's just a case of there's some stuff that I think specifically we need to illustrate, which I don't necessarily know exactly how to do it, but I know what it is.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right. So
and that's El Salvador done as far as I'm concerned. I will feel good when that's done. Because I think we need to get that out the door. I then think part of finishing off FreeHag to an 80% will be good, because then we can start doing things like, all right, if we've got FreeHag and we've got our vision sorted and we've got everything ready for that, then what's our profile of our avatar, if you like, or whatever, and then we can start sourcing those avatars through the different networks that we've been exposed to, and start building up the click funnel and all the rest of it, because we've got a clearer understanding of what we're promising and how we're going to deliver on it, which will then deal with creating a level of investment, which will then push forward how we're going to operate everything, and then then that will supply you with the backing of the promises for the wealth platform, etc.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's kind of like where I'm at. It's a bit more, yeah.
Okay. Great. All right.
And unless I'm also don't let's leave time to talk about coming to England.
Okay. All right. So maybe let's jump to StreetHack. If you can share the screen for the spreadsheet, I believe I have pre-filled out some of the the regarding the swim lane. Okay, and I think we can check over if you agree with them. If that's done, then the last thing we want to do is the 36 quarters. Okay, the quarterly milestones goals. So let me just share what I fill in since our last chat. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we discussed about onboarding and also asset safety last time. So the other two are reliability and accountability. Okay, so this is what I've put in. I'll start with reliability first. Okay,
Sure.
so reliability here directly relates to the consistency of our investment vehicle. Okay, in this case, the main fund, that would be the index strategy, plus maybe dollar cost average. So I start with 2025. Okay, so for this, I wrote the matrix of having 1,000 wealth-based projects. So you can think of that as tokens, projects, tokens, clients that are on the wealth platform. Okay, 1,000 of them. And basically by that year, 2025, we will have a guarantee 5% ROI. So that is our season, regardless of the environment ups and downs, meaning that we have a fairly good strategy, okay, that can be providing at least 5% ROI, regardless of the external environment. Okay.
What on that though, that 5%, is there not an argument that you can at least you could get 10% from the S&P 500?
Okay, that is average. So average means over a long period of time, over a long period of times of ups and downs. Okay, that is 10. But if you look at by specific years, sometimes S&P 500 negative return. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. No,
so,
I get that. But I suppose
right.
the thing is,
let me put it this way. Let me put it this way then. This 5% is basically the floor. Okay, the floor of our investment strategy or our investment performance. So we're saying, well, if this can be achieved, it means that it's kind of like the Singapore government, sovereignty fund of the 1.5% stuff for their fund over the last 20 years, right? So in some sense, that's impressive because they make sure that at least it's growing, year by year. Okay, even if there are downturns. So give you some perspective. Ray Dalio's out-season profile in the 2008 crash, a lot of players took big hits. I believe Ray's portfolio did a plus 3% something gain actually overall. Okay, in 2008. So that was impressive, you see, because 2008, a lot of people lost big money, big time. Okay, and Ray's portfolio actually, well, actually gained a little bit, not fantastic, just 3%, but compared to like negative 50%, negative 30%, negative 80%, right? That was very impressive. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
Yeah. So by writing that down, I don't see that's any small feat actually. And that would probably mean our average ROI is, like way higher than that. To what degree, I don't know, but but I think we can kind of have a floor that is at least positive. That is actually one of the rare funds out there, from what I
Mhm.
understand. Not
Mhm.
not many funds can do or claim that.
Mhm. And do you think the word guarantee is doable to guarantee it?
I don't think it's a guarantee. Okay, it's not a guarantee.
Well, then, but we're using the word guarantee.
Oh yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, sorry. So maybe that's okay. That's for lack of a better term. I think what we want to do is that we don't want to put any quote unquote guarantee in terms of the performance to our clients. Okay,
Mhm, mhm.
that is well,
It's dangerous
unless you're
territory, isn't it?
yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Or unless you're promising a very small amount of the expected ROI that you are able to
Mhm,
achieve,
mhm,
But
mhm.
even in such case, I think it's still, dangerous territory to enter. Okay.
No, I agree. I agree. I agree. I think, well, you've used minimal on Q5, so I don't know why Q9 can't read minimal as well. So
Q9, Oh, right.
or
Yeah, so
2% minimum.
yeah. Sorry, maybe change the guarantee to minimum. Okay, if you can, Q9, yeah, just change that to minimum. So yeah, I don't think we want to provide any guarantee as like legally binding guarantee.
Yeah.
But having let's say between a 2% and then later a 5% minimum, right? I think
Mhm,
that's something we want to strive for, right? We want
mhm.
to like demonstrate from our record that's what we can do, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then it's the 2024. So that would be 100. Okay, it's 100 wealth projects, wealth fund.
Mhm,
Along that year, AI strategy, okay, which will probably aid or help into the 5% minimum thing. The
mhm.
IFA tax, I believe you wrote that, which I'm
Yeah.
not
So
sure exactly. Yeah, so maybe you
what
can
I meant
elaborate.
by that, right, is IFA, independent financial advisor. I don't know if the Americans have got the same
Oh,
thing,
okay. I
or if
see,
you
I
have
see.
the same in Taiwan, but that's what that means. So
Is
basically,
that the fiduciary? Fiduciary, is it right? Fiduciary, independent financial. Okay.
I don't know what the point is. It's a person who sits there and advises individuals on how to best invest their money.
Right.
And
Okay.
theoretically, they are independent from any organization. And
I
the
see.
argument is in the UK, none of them are because they all get paid commission. So
I see.
they are brokers for
I
bigger
see.
entities.
For banks, yeah,
Yeah.
or companies, yeah.
So
Okay. I see.
there's no independence, even though
I see.
technically
Okay.
they are.
Okay.
So
Right.
the other thing is that they're very, very, very conservative. So I think I said to you
Oh,
when I
okay.
went to coach, I was sat next to an independent financial advisor.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it's like, why would you do, if I offered you 10% guaranteed tax-free, what would you do? And then the obvious answer is, well, yeah, that sounds really interesting. Well, that's what your pension's for. You can have it guaranteed tax-free, and whatever I said about property or investments, and it goes, yeah, but it ain't guaranteed.
Right.
So the whole argument there, it's an incredibly conservative one, and it pries upon people's scarcity mindset and low risk appetite. And those types of people, if we're able to understand their arguments,
Right.
then we can either start bringing them into the fold or combat
Okay.
their arguments to remove them as a competitor and disrupt the market in that respect. Likewise, ideally bring them on. Likewise, the tax element. If you've done something, if you've got a SaaS, and I can never remember what SaaS stands for, but it's
Software
self-administered.
as a service?
No.
No.
It's self something administered pension or something like that.
Okay.
You
Like
basically,
kind of the self-directed IRA in the States, self-directed IRA
yeah, I
in the
guess so. Yeah.
States. Okay.
It sounds about
Right.
right. You control your pension fund. and
Right,
you
right, right,
determine where it
right.
gets, where the money is
Okay,
used.
okay.
If you can do that, then you self-manage your own pension fund. You don't have to pay an IFA. You don't have to pay any entity fees, because other than the other than the purchasing fees, you just cut down the costs of your pension, and then you're more in control of it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
a pension is tax-free in the UK up to a certain
Okay.
amount.
Okay,
So
I see.
if we can tie into that, which is why I was talking to those CoinPass people, and they led me to an IFA which is happy to do SaaSes with crypto,
Mm-hmm.
which are very few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
If you can tie into that model, then you're overcoming the issues that the standard IFA will sit there and say, well, you can't do that. What
I
about?
see. Okay, okay, I see. So let me clarify. Are you talking about, in this case, kind of like we will be able to work with IFAs in terms of offering JCF as something they can potentially recommend to their clients? Is that kind of the idea? Or as like
Yeah,
part of the financial instruments, quote unquote instruments or tools that's under their, their sort of their Rinso of
yeah.
I guess their
I,
toolkit. Yeah.
I think there's two ways to look at it. Ideally, they come on board and work with us, because they realize that if they don't, we're disrupting the market and they'll lose opportunity.
Ah, I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think
Okay.
I think if you're in that sort of position where you can actually go, take it or leave it, mate. We're doing this, and people, your customers are leaving you anyway, so you might as well join the party. And I think if you can get into that sort of position, then it's a win-win. Microsoft, for instance, they talk about the breadth and depth of the market. So they'll sell directly, but they'll also have partners who can deliver on different aspects of the value chain that comes with having Microsoft's product, right?
Okay.
So I think there's a certain logic that can be had in that. But
Okay.
again,
Okay.
that was just an idea, right? And I thought it was kind of, it ties in with the reliability element, because people look at these IFAs and go, well, they're reliable, they're independent.
Right, right. That's true. That's true. Yes, I fully agree. I mean, this is actually, I think, Chat's function. Ben Hardy is a financial advisor. He
Yeah.
calls himself a financial fiduciary, and that is actually a legally binding term, meaning
Right.
that they cannot take stands with any of the financial product they recommend. They usually charge a flat annual fee, okay, regardless of
Right.
the whatever financial advice, so that they don't have a conflict of interest with what they recommend to their clients versus their clients' benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's what you're talking about, the independent financial advisor, IFAs. So
Yeah.
yes, fully agree.
In the UK, they're not independent in that same context. So
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. But I fully agree that those are the people I think we want to bring on board
yeah.
to be. Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe to clarify, it's to onboard IFA partners. Right? Maybe that'll be more clear. Like partners. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so for this is I think the other is just by the end of this year we have 10 wealth projects. Okay. That would mean that they are leveraging the wealth platform for their funding purpose or their token issuing, purpose. And then, this quarter we're launching the wealth. Okay.
Well, I mean, we've done that, right? Sorry, what does DCA mean?
Dollar cost average.
Right.
So
Okay. Thank you.
maybe that's right. So that would be like pilot DCA or
But we've done that, haven't we?
Well, we have done the evaluation, but technically it's not yet in place yet. Both
Right.
from the system perspective, the system has a component of that implemented, but not yet integrated. Okay, and
Mhm.
right now that will be a manual process. So we haven't really launched that or put that in function yet. But I think it's something that we can, at least manually started to do. If
Mhm.
that's also something you think would help. Meaning that, let me give it a very simple scenario. We're either in position or we're out. Okay. When we're out of position, then every week we will put 1% of our assets, let's say, into Bitcoin. Okay, so that would be a kind of a very simple dollar cost average strategy. Okay, so like continuously putting 1%.
I think the point is that it's a continuous thing, right? So regardless of which direction the market is going, you're always buying a set amount of one particular stock.
I see. Okay.
So
Okay.
so for instance, I mean this is how tiny I'm doing it, right? £30,
Right.
30,
Right.
not a lot, £30, but every
Right.
week on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Okay.
I will buy £30 worth of Bitcoin.
Okay.
And at the moment, like I said to you before, since I started, it's in excess of 100% profit.
Okay. I see.
So I haven't, and that's only because of the amount. I know the dollar amount that I've put in because I've calculated it, and I look at the size of the what the Bitcoin value is in fiat. So I know that I've made more than 100% profit.
Okay.
So it's kind of when you, I know that Bitcoin is going up, but you see the same.
Right.
If the general trend is this, what's actually happening is this kind of up and down,
Ups and downs.
right?
Yes, ups and downs. Right.
And the thing is, regardless of the fact that okay, so Bitcoin in the last 6 months, for argument's sake, Bitcoin's increased by 15%, for argument's sake. But it doesn't matter because during that 6 months, it hasn't always been up at 15%. Sometimes it's been down and up and down and up.
Okay.
And so on average, if you do it every week, you'll tend to hit more downs than you will ups. So you'll always, on average, you'll be buying at a lower amount than you would do if you just went and did it on the spot trades on a daily basis and made those decisions. Okay. And also the thing I like about it is I don't even think about it. I just ignore that it's there and it happens. And that is really nice. If I'd put 300 a week in or 3,000 a week, then I'd be a lot better off. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I see.
But that's just whether or not and the thing is, for us to do that successfully with JCF, I think we need to have a certain amount of income coming in for us to be able to comfortably do that. So until we have, until we know that on average, because of our funnel, we're bringing in, I don't know, 10 grand a month. How do we know that we can commit to putting in, 2 grand of that for dollar cost averaging? So even if we were only getting $100 in a month from new people, then I think that's the important thing, is that we need to have a flow of new investment on a monthly basis, which we will get to when we're successful at generating a lead funnel, and it just boils down to that, really. So which is just a sales and marketing thing.
It just occurred to me that we already have a kind of a indicator based entry exit index strategy. Okay, sort of a modified index strategy that is trying to hedge against the bearish downtrend.
Yeah.
However, what you just said, I think prompted me to think that a simple DCA approach is to
Yeah.
simply purchase, let's say 1% of our USDT reserve into change that, convert that to, 1% of our fiat reserve into Bitcoin, for example,
Right.
right? I mean, that would be, again, something very simple to do. Now, I think the only question is when we're out of position, okay, or let's say if we're exiting, do we still keep those 1% that, at the same level, or it will be actually rebalanced or exited at some point
But
or by some criteria, right?
no, I mean, I think the point, I mean, maybe Nick would be better to answer this
To answer
question.
this? Okay, all right.
I would suggest that the point about it is it's dollar weighted averaging, because you're always going to invest the same amount at the same time,
Right.
and that consequently gives you an average
Mhm.
improvement, because you're buying when it's low and you're buying when it's high.
Right. I understand. My question is, do we still keep that regardless of the market condition continuously?
Yeah, I mean, always hold.
Right.
Then because I mean, we're doing this on a stock that we believe will ultimately continue to grow, right? So
True.
if Bitcoin is true that everybody thinks it is, then it's like gold or silver, physical assets.
Mhm.
Then it will always increase in value.
I see.
It's got to be. I mean, we've got to believe that the asset is something that's going to grow always.
Right. Long term.
It's like property in the UK. I believe it will always grow in value.
Right. Okay.
There will be price corrections, but effectively it always goes up.
Right. Okay. Until when we want to change our view, right?
Until we want
I
to watch.
mean, yeah, or maybe put it another way, we still believe that there's still a lot of growth potential for Bitcoin, given its current state and what it could be, right? I mean, at some point it might become like gold, right, where the price no longer is, sort of growing on a continuous basis. But until that time, it's worth doing long-term investment on.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
guess
that's the idea, right? Okay.
yeah. I mean, I don't ever see gold ever not being valuable. I mean, it always will be, I think.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fair. All right. Well, okay. So I guess any other feedback on this reliability part?
No, that's cool.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the accountability. Okay. I guess just quickly, some milestones each one of the years with how many organizations we want to be donating to. So 2025 is 1,000, and 100 a year before that, and 10 orgs, by the end of this year. Okay, so those are
what's the importance of having the you're saying the ability to
donate? Yes. Well, the actual organizations that's kind of being signed up to be donated to.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of that could be maybe, I'm thinking of what, ideally it's not our actions, it's our clients, like they like to donate to some organization, they like to support some, some institution, and they will decide who they are, and we're simply just supporting their wishes. Okay, I think that's probably the more healthy way to do this. And then there's 2025, thinking of engage the UNICEF fund. Okay, so this is the fund we're looking at 100 million, okay, in size. That can be sort of a perpetual fund to provide, generating profits to support children-related, children welfare related activities, and for the UNICEF. And for 2024, that would be partnership with Giving Block as donation partner. If that kind of thing can happen, then the number of organizations that can be donated to potentially could jump in numbers. right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
right, that that might just become some kind of automated mechanism,
Mhm.
right? That people simply start to donate to places they like, and Giving Block probably already has maybe hundreds of partners at the moment. So yeah. Okay, and then before that, for this year, that would be this quarter to have the first donation. So that will be launching the donation referral mechanism this quarter, okay, which is currently in the work. And then Q3, that would be like tracking the impact that we're making. Okay, so this is more related to how are we going to measure the impact we're having in terms of, I guess, either whether donation dollar amount or maybe some other metric like number of people, families that have been helped through, through our mechanism or efforts. Okay, so I think that warrants a bit of discussion, but
Mhm.
I think at the very minimum, there are definitely some metrics we can collect, like the number of recipients, like how much they're being on average, they're receiving, for example.
Mhm.
And maybe we can, if we can tie that to another impact measurement, that would be great. But yeah, frankly, I think this is something we might want to discuss with, an expert in the field about what would be a meaningful measure or a metric for us to keep track of, right? So yeah,
Well,
yeah. So I mean, yeah.
so the other thing then with that is first impact training. So yeah, so it stimulated the question as to what is basic income,
Right. Okay.
and what does that mean on a dollar kind of amount? So if it's $800
Okay.
a year,
Right.
because that's the poverty line, or is it
Right.
more or less, or and then because then we can sit there and say, well, if that's our baseline, then we're above or below that by X%. How are we determining it? Because how we determine it will dictate the level of success that we can show we are making
Right.
through our efforts.
Right.
So obviously, if the basic income is $1,500 a month and we've only given $300 away, well, then we haven't really, we're well below it. But if it's $800 a year and we've done $300, well, actually, that's a significant component, because
Oh, I see.
it's 30% of people's basic income, right?
Right.
So I
The
think it's important.
global poverty line. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to stick to draw a line and say this is how we define it internally with us, and we've defined it this way because, and then all our measurements will reflect that, and there'll be congruence with our message.
I see. Okay.
And then I think the other thing then is, going from what people have asked me so far, is, well, how do you know whether or not somebody deserves it? It's almost like a means test,
Right.
And how does somebody determine, and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's just, we've just got to come up with a bunch of answers to those sorts of questions, and then which I think ultimately at the moment, because we've said it's up to the investor, the retail investor, who is the recipient of their donation. Well, then they are self-determining who the recipient is and why they should be getting it. And regardless of whether or not that's because they're a relative or because it's their favorite cat charity, it's irrelevant. And again, well, that's an interesting point, right? If somebody wants to give their money to a cat sanctuary, right?
Right.
Is that really helping basic income? Is that helping 1 billion people? So we don't want any kind of charity to be involved, because it doesn't help the narrative, does it?
I see. Okay. It's not aligned with our basic
Yeah.
mission, right?
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
has to be, for example, like it's somewhat human-centric,
Yeah.
humanity-centric, right? Okay.
So
I
the
think that's
Worldwide Fund for
okay.
Nature isn't going to get on the list, even though it's a tremendously good, or save the whale
I
or
see.
something like
Okay.
that. They're not interested. It's
All
about
right.
people.
So how about this? Let's change that to the donation org, I guess, filtering criteria or definition. So sort of, I mean in Q3, for Q3, the impact tracking, I think it would be something like to have the first version of a trackable matrix that we're defining, that we basically have some rules about who
Yeah.
to be the donation target, right? We should probably list out some rules.
Yeah.
And then for qualifying, right? And maybe for some kind of SOP for onboarding new orgs, and also start to track what's the, intentionally, like what's the actual result progress that has happened with them as a result of our mechanism, for example, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the idea, because we don't, I mean, we can, but we probably don't want to simply allow things just happen, but to have understanding about what our mechanism actually is doing or is achieving in terms of the donation mechanism part, right? And how that
Yeah.
aligns to our mission. I think one really basic thing is simply to have the basic income. I mean, the share dividend. I think that's a very trackable measure. Like what's the, let's say, the annual, the monthly share dividend that's been paid out. And in fact, I think we have been somewhat tracking them. It's just it's not yet as systematic. But once that's done, I think that's a very good measure in terms of the kind of impact. Yeah, like you said, 300 out of 800, global poverty line, that's a third of that already, right? If you look at it from that perspective, right? So that is actually a meaningful measure. The only, if that's been kept consistently, the only thing is we just want to enlarge the amount and also enlarge the audience, right?
Yeah.
That kind of becomes a very, like clear and visible target to sort of work towards, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think all of that. So impact tracking, that's what that means to me.
Okay, so maybe
all of those
defined,
elements.
I think defined. How about impact tracking defined and like formalized, something like that, right? So we have a set of rules.
Yeah, I was just hoping not to put in lots of words. That's all.
Yeah, just formalize that. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, nice. I mean, I think maybe just one is okay, like formalized. Yeah, but okay.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I mean, impact tracking formalized. I think that's enough. We don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to put define. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, good. So
Right.
yeah, I guess regarding accountability, any other feedback, thoughts, or?
No, I think that's all good. I'm happy with that as swim lanes. I think for now. I mean, like that's good enough. And because
okay, at least with annual and quarterly for this year, right?
in each one of them, I mean, like, look, just in the impact tracking formalized, there's a ton of stuff that we need to kind of figure out. So
okay.
And I think
but
if you go deep down on each one, then it's either going to be conceptually or it's going to be or it's going to be from technically, there's going to be answers and whatnot there. But anyway, okay, cool.
All right. So yeah. So I guess anything else? I think that's some progress, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's really good, and it's good progress as well, because what's interesting is that by defining all of each one of these, it's just helping us clarify just some waypoints in the process, in terms of, right, this is what we've got to get done. These are the action points that we need to address, so that we can say that it's going to logically take us to the next place. Now, we don't know how the end result is going to determine the direction, but it gives us a waypoint that we might have to do some course correction on the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, nice. All right.
Okay.
So yeah. So
I'll
should
put
we
that into the doc.
wrap up? Yeah.
Yeah, but your daughter should have her passport by now, right?
Yes, my mother is taking her somewhere, which I'm probably going to be checking with them soon. But
Right.
yeah. So
okay, so
yeah.
coming to England then.
Right, okay.
Personally, I'm more than happy
Okay.
for you to stay.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
our house it's not big.
Okay.
And we've got one spare room with one double bed.
Okay, that's
and it's
okay. Go ahead.
And our house hasn't really been refurbed since we bought it.
Okay.
I spend all my money on other things. I don't spend it on myself, really.
Okay.
Other than traveling on business class on expensive airlines and stuff like that. My point is that there's a level of embarrassment that I don't know I'd be willing to have were you to stay. And and I think my wife feels that far more than I do.
Okay, I see. Okay, all right. Okay.
So to give you an understanding, right?
Right. Okay.
My brother and his wife have stayed once.
Right. Okay.
One of their daughters, no, both their daughters and their respective husbands have stayed once.
Okay.
And we've had 2 meals with my sister's daughter.
Okay.
So that's how many times we've had visitors.
Okay.
And we've been living here about 4 years.
Okay. All right.
So I'm kind of, I don't mind doing it.
Okay.
At the moment, though, I think we would have to update our house a bit before we could openly welcome a stranger to the house.
Well,
if I want my wife to be 100% comfortable. And even then, I can tell you, we could live in a palatial mansion in the most respectable area of London, and she would still want it to be looking a certain way. So I think it's difficult to sit there and without any kind of reservation, just go, yeah, turn up, doesn't matter where, I'll stay however long you want, which is the way I operate.
I see. All right.
I think I have to be very reserved.
Okay.
Having said that, I'd be happy, meet up with you and show you around if it means going around London or doing something like that and being a guide for you, or if you wanted to, we can think of some of the things to do locally. It's a little bit cheaper up here, but it depends on what you want to do, really. And so in Leeds, if it was your son, I wouldn't hesitate. Your daughter, I don't know whether or not she'd find this sort of thing interesting. There's a place called the Royal Armouries, right?
Okay.
It's a museum of war.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Not very My Fair Lady or Mary Poppins.
Okay.
But it is very it is very historically accurate for what the history of England and what happened.
I see. Okay. Okay. All right.
Then there's Manchester and Liverpool, and they're interesting places as well historically, and they're a bit fun and funky. But there isn't. I mean, north of England doesn't have a great deal. All the museums,
Okay, I see.
all of those sorts of attractions are in London.
I see. Okay. All right.
But then you've also got beautiful countryside down south as well, on the south coast.
Okay. Okay.
So,
all right. So Mike, here's yeah, thanks for sharing that. All right. I think just a couple of feedbacks. Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Regarding your research. Okay. First off, I don't want to put any pressure, okay, whatsoever on your wife, okay, or make her feel uncomfortable or embarrassed. By no means, you know, that's the case. Okay, so if it's you know, if it's making her uncomfortable, then you know, yeah, don't worry about that. But okay, but having said that, okay. I think, well, if it's others, I can't tell. But for me, and maybe for our visit, I actually not just don't mind, but maybe look forward to, to, you know, having a more casual and, you know, like a more, you know, real actual experience, you know, to living in a British house, you know, like a real household, not a hotel, because we will have our share of hotel experience. So
Yeah.
no worries about that. But part of this trip, you know, at least what I want to have my daughter to experience is actually, you know, not just to seeing other sites, but also maybe having a genuine feeling of what it's like, you know, let's say in a British, you know, in a residence, right? To have that kind of experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't worry about if it's, you know, not, and a single bed. I mean, all the places we leave, it's going to be like a double bed, you know, like I probably check. So I mean, and I am probably the least, you know, I'm out of all your friends or guests. I've been living in some pretty bad places.
Mate,
So,
you were happy to stay in a youth hostel in Toronto, so yeah, I appreciate the fact that there's no
I have staying far worse.
you don't need the silk sheets and the gold plated toothbrush
Yes.
or anything like that.
So anything that can give me like a flat surface, you know. Well, I have been traveling around Taiwan in my youth on a single bike, living on, you know, on the floors of churches, fire stations,
Wow.
schools. Okay. So
Wow.
that's where I came from. Okay, so not that far from homeless. Okay. So I guess I have some special connection or maybe empathy to them because maybe of my experience. So yeah, so I mean, regarding your
Okay.
wife,
No, that's cool.
don't worry,
Right.
don't worry. Okay, because your wife doesn't know me, so she might have some concern about, you know, that this friend of yours, you know, could have some bad perception about you or your family. By no means, that will never happen. Okay, my
No,
daughter,
I get
I
that.
think, yeah, she will be thrilled with any experience, you know, that's kind of novel, right? I mean, and yeah, so that's that. All right. And
Also, we don't actually have a chimney, so
okay, that's fine.
there's no way of you know, Mary Poppins and chimneys. That's the traditional thing, right?
Yeah, no worries. But the only thing I concern is, you know, like if we will be bothering you too much, you know, like you know, for, you know, because we're planning, you know, already, I think 9-10 days already planned for London. You know, it's a 2-week trip. I think we're planning for 1 night in Cambridge on the way maybe to your place. Okay, so, and then just staying at your place, I think, you know, like for how many days you're comfortable with. Okay. And then we can plan out the other days, maybe in other hotels or other place. I think Manchester is close by, right? So we might want to maybe have a trip to Manchester. I think that's another idea. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
but just let me know, just let me know like how many days is you guys would, I mean, we don't want to like disturb you, okay? But,
no, that's cool.
yeah.
Cool, that's cool. So, okay. There's Cambridge and there's also Oxford. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
you can't go to
okay.
Cambridge and not go to Oxford, but they're in very different parts of the country.
Right. Okay.
So,
So we'll think about that. Yeah, because I know they are on different ways. Yeah. So
yeah.
okay.
And then what was I going to say? So are you going to be in Canada then? You're flying from Canada to England?
No, I will actually fly back to Taiwan first because I'll be back to Taiwan by early July 8th. And the trip is expected at the end of July, right? Right now we're
So when are you going to
about
Canada?
next this coming Thursday.
Right.
The next time we speak, I'm already in PI.
Is
I mean,
it?
sorry, I mean no. Yeah, I think if we're switching because the course starts this week now. So on Thursday, I think probably that will be the first mastermind session. Okay. And then I will take the flight actually that evening, that Thursday evening. So on Friday, that will probably be when I'm up in the plane. Yeah, so this, yeah, but by next Monday, next week this time, I'm already.
So we're not doing anything on Thursday?
Well, unless you want like a quick call, after, I think it's 10. Right now it's 10:48 your side, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think 10:30, that would that might work. Okay. I think my flight is in the
I mean, it doesn't
yeah.
matter. We don't need to. I just wanted to be clear. That's all. So if I know that we're going to meet, then I know we're going to meet. If we're not going to meet because you're traveling, then we're not going to meet because you're traveling.
I see. Yeah. Okay. On the Thursday night, no, on your side. I will be on the plane by that time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all right. So we'll do that. So happy travels.
Okay.
And we'll talk again on Monday.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's that. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's that really.
Okay, and is the things Poit asking, is that all right now? I mean, I guess Poit is wanting some, I think, confirmation receipt from you.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, fine.
Right.
I mean, there you go, Shunyun. That's another example of money going out the door. So,
okay, right. Okay, all right.
But
So,
yeah, it's I've promised it, so it needs to be done really. So there you go. I just need to hurry up on that. Okay, fine.
Okay, all right, but let me know if there are some I mean some issues. I guess the okay, that, I guess, let me put it this way again. Wealth will happen regardless of what. Okay. I truly appreciate whatever help you have been giving and you're willing to provide. Okay, but at the same time, I don't think don't need to stress yourself out in any way. Okay, over this, because this is after all an investment, and yeah, it's an investment. So if the money can be better used elsewhere, by your judgment, okay, by all means do it. Okay, this is something
Yeah.
I can still find ways to maybe to cover somehow. So
I've just,
don't worry.
I mean, like, I'll be honest. Look, I'm transparent, right? So
okay, sure.
I've spent okay, there's £6,000 or $6,000 earmarked to JCF. There's money spent on marketing. There's money that's been invested, and then there's money spent on salary. So if I add those up together, right, I'm looking at 18, 20, almost £30,000.
Okay.
And so out of that 30,000, at the moment,
Right.
I've probably got a return of a couple of £100.
Okay. Okay.
So am I stressed out about that? Yeah, I am, because I'm not getting back the return on investment that I should be for making an investment of £30,000. But, and what's frustrating for me is that one of them is one of those investments is paying back the dividends I expected it to.
Okay.
Two of them are not paying back anything.
Okay.
Really.
Or not yet.
Well, no, that's the point though. One of them is salary, and that really is a not yet. But the challenge is I can't keep giving somebody money for not bringing results.
Right. That's right.
So two of them are in that pocket. One of them's gonna, I think one of them will get results that will justify keeping them on, but it's a very, very touch and go thing. And then with donating to not donating, but investing in JCF, I wouldn't have offered it if I didn't believe. Right. And so I didn't think it was fair that I didn't put some skin in the game. It's just what's frustrating for me is that the length of time that I thought I would get returns on hasn't happened. It's kind of, I thought it'd be like this. Actually, it's kind of like off the frame at the moment.
Right.
Where I expected JCF was, you're just going to have to go with that one and just put it in there and go forward. And yeah, so it's not that I don't have that $2,000. I've got it. It's just I'm just sitting there thinking, God, bloody hell. Okay, time is getting a bit tight at the moment. That's all really, Julian. I'm just being honest with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So well, I like to say I feel your pain. So I probably can't. not the exact same person. But
I mean, I've got nobody to fall back on. Ray Dalio had his dad to borrow money from. Jeff Bezos borrowed money from his mum and dad. Mike Hainsworth doesn't have anybody. So
okay. Well, maybe that's true, or maybe that's not true. Yeah, maybe that's true, or maybe that's not true. I mean, sometimes things, wait and
well,
look.
no, I mean, the thing is, my mum and dad have gone, right? So I don't, it's not that they wouldn't give it to me. It's just I don't have them.
I'm not saying parents necessarily. I'm saying that you might have some backup that you don't realize. And sometimes it's a matter of recognizing and looking, right? Our eyes cannot see, our ears cannot hear what our brains is, we can only see and hear what our brain is looking for. So keep brains open. Things you might discover.
All right, bud.
Okay. All right. So thanks a lot, and I do wish you all the best, and also come up with maybe a slump stage soon. But sometimes it's part of the process, the journey. But the other times, I think it's also some really good space for going to that next level. I don't know if that I'm not sure if that will encourage anyway, but I definitely can say that all the valleys leads to peaks. This is
true. Thankful in adversity.
All right. So take care. Good luck.
See you later.
And okay. So see you next weekend. All right. Okay.
See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Yeah. Bye.